You know, I've kind of had a funny observation. No matter what online community you join, there's always a particular type of negative comment that shows that the person in that respective community doesn't know what they're talking about, right? Whether it's religious or spiritual community, whether it's veganism, the carnivore diet, whether it's the car club, whether it's the gym bros, whether it's a gaming community, there's always a particular type of negativity that shows you that the person that's trying to infiltrate this community does not know what they are talking about. I say that to say because I've been learning about consumer law. I've been reading the books, online, paperback copies, whatever. I've been going online to people's channels. I'm just subscribing to different channels and just finding out what everybody's saying. And I'm trying to find the commonalities of what everybody's saying, right? And one of the things that you notice is there's always the type of comment where someone always says, well, show me somebody where this has worked. This is a scam. This is how you get late fees and you get your bills are late. This is how you get your lights turned off. And I'm like, you are somebody that's either never tried this, or you're someone that's tried it once and failed and you just threw your hands up and quit. You see what I'm saying? If you were going to take this path, it's a transformation. And some people also say that it's a spiritual transformation because you become enlightened to the truth. You realize the game that's being run on y'all. You realize that the things that are on these official documents from these companies, they're there for a reason. For example, go look at your bill. Like I got Comcast. Go look at your Comcast bill right now. Doesn't it say you can't send in cash? Do not send in cash. Why is that? Because cash is a debt note, and you cannot pay a debt with a debt. Hey, so we about to get into this, all right? Before we begin, I am not a guru. I have been only learning this about 3-4 weeks. I'm like a month into this. I do not know everything. I am still piecing things together. When I'm rehearsing this to myself, I'm like, wait, I don't know that. I need to figure that part out. I know this, but I don't know how to explain that. If someone were to debate this and that, wait, why would I? How would I explain that? So there's still things that I'm figuring out. But as a newbie to this, I want to teach you what I know to get you started too, so I don't have to go learn everything and then teach all of you from zero. It's a lot easier to talk to y'all when you know a little bit and you were following me on the journey as well. You feel me? So, nevertheless, yes, there is a lot of stuff that you have to learn. One of the things that you have to learn is that our ability to use money to pay our debts was removed back in 1933. Okay? Now, that might sound crazy. What you mean? I pay my bills with a $100 bill. What you mean I can't use money? Money, by the constitutional speech, money, and by the way, if I say anything incorrect, I am open. This is me just showing what I know. This is my little book report. You know, first grader doing the book report. Today I read the book about Little Red Riding Hood. So this is my variation of what I'm learning with this consumer law stuff, all right? But nevertheless, based off of the Constitution of the United States only recognizes gold and silver as money. See, y'all gotta get through the legalese, all right? Money has a definition, okay? Gold and silver. During the Emergency Banking Act of 1933, that's where we got pulled off of the gold standard. Why was this Emergency Act enacted? Because in 1933, the United States of America has been bankrupt. I'm not making any of this up. For those of you who know, you're just shaking your head. Yep, I know this. But for some people, this is brand new information. The United States of America, the richest country in the world, supposedly, has been bankrupt, operating under Chapter 11 bankruptcy since 1933. This is when the government lost its sovereignty and it became a corporation. This is when we switched off of the gold standard and we began to accept Federal Reserve notes. Do I have any cash? I'm not even sure if I carry cash anymore. Hold on one second. Ooh, I have $1 in my wallet. All right, but look, it might be backwards in the screen, but go look at your dollar. It says Federal Reserve note. Yeah, you know I'm balling out here. Let me go make a stripper happy real quick with this $1 bill. All right, but look, so this is when we began to accept these Federal Reserve notes that could just be printed out of thin air, right? So what happened was originally gold and silver was the only money, right? And we got taken off of this and we began to accept the Federal Reserve notes as debt notes as a promissory note. Notes are promissory notes, but we're going to get into that in a second. The reason why all this happens is because we went bankrupt because the United States couldn't pay its debts. So what ended up happening is the United States collateralized all of its properties, all of its land, the houses, the cars, the products it makes, but it also collateralized you and me. The people were collateralized. And they couldn't take away, and this is where I'm a little hazy, so correct me if I'm wrong, but they couldn't collateralize the private person. So they created a public entity with your name that they could form a trust off of. And then, and basically that's where it's like some of the money starts off of. So basically with your birth certificate, this was a creation of your public entity. As some people call it, the straw man account. Okay, the so-called conspiracy theorists or the sovereign citizens, they call it the straw man account. But what I've learned is that this is where some of the so-called sovereigns, they fall short because they walk into court and say, oh, I don't owe anything because that is my straw man account and that's not addressed to me, therefore I'm not required to pay it. Yes and no, right? There's more to the story. It's like what you have to do is you are using the funds that are in that trust that were established when you were born. The collateralized interest based off of your name has been accruing interest. And you as the private, the sovereign citizen are supposed to utilize that public entity to set off all of your debts. You're not supposed to pay your debts. You're supposed to discharge them. Okay? And this is evident, that phrase is evident in HJR, House Joint Resolution 192 of 1933. You can look this up. This is where they admitted that, like, or this is where the remedy, okay, see, I know we're going in circles. I told you I don't know this off the top. I'm trying to get this from 0 to 1 out of 100. All right. But nevertheless, so HJR 192 was where they gave us the remedy. Since we can no longer use gold and silver due to the Emergency Banking Act of 1933, there had to be a way for people to pay off their debts, so to speak, right? So since we have no money to pay off our debts, what are we supposed to do? Well, HJR 192 says that this is the remedy. You are supposed to discharge them. This is where it says it. You can go read it for yourself. Okay, so you're supposed to discharge your debts. So that straw man account that people talk about was also known as your Cestui Act, your Cestui Trust, aka your Social Security Trust. When you're old and you're in your 60s or something like that, where do you think the money comes from? It comes from the government. No, you're paying yourself out of your Cestui Trust. But there's also the Cestui Act, which states that if someone doesn't claim or doesn't act on behalf of their trust within 7 years, they are considered lost at sea. And the custodians of the account, aka the government, that's why people think there's the government, the custodians of the account will take care of it until the person comes back and claims it. You see what I'm saying? So that trust is there. All of us have that money there. It's just how do you access it? Now, this is where I'm learning some stuff where some people are doing some stuff that's completely illegal, right? Some of the stuff where it's like they file forms and they file the address of like the Treasury or something like that. That's a messed up version of it. But you can use 1099A forms and 1099C forms. That's a little bit above my understanding right now, but I'm learning, okay? So let's get a little bit more down to earth. Let's get back into my level of understanding, right? So that's the breakdown. Let me know if I wasn't clear there, okay? So how does all this make sense? So you get your bill, right? Once again, get off of paperless billing, get off of auto pay, all right? You need to become an adult. You need to become responsible. Right now, if you do not have the capacity to contract, you are considered an idiot by Congress, by definition. If you do not have the ability to, if you do not have the capacity to contract, you by definition are an idiot. I'm not making this up. Okay, you are considered a minor at 20, 30, 40, 50 years old if you do not know how to handle your own affairs. And that means their custodians will do it for you. And most of the time they don't know what they're doing, or they will do it in a way that benefits them and not benefits you. Okay, so you get your bill. You'll see stuff up there like your name in all caps. You'll see things that say the account is due. You'll say that they're requesting payment for the account. Okay? Let's talk about some of this stuff. Go look at your bill. Pull it out right now. All right? Any mail that you get, most of 98% of the mail that you get, unless it's coming from your grandma or your mama, has your name in all caps. That is your straw man. That is your Cestui account, your Cestui Trust. That is your public entity. Okay? That is who they are doing business with, because that is the account that needs to be balanced. Balance equals zero. You want these accounts, like your account with Comcast, your account with Sprint, your account with your bank, you want that to be zero. All right? Because you've set off the account, you've balanced. You no longer have an outstanding balance. Okay? Now, this is the trickery. That's we think when we get these bills, oh, okay, I have this bill in the mail. I have to pay it now. Let me go work for money and pay this bill with the money that I have earned. I guess you can do that. That's the way we've been taught to do things. But a bill that is given to you in the mail is a bill of exchange. Well, how do you properly function, or how do you properly operate? How do you properly do business with a bill of exchange? Where would I go to get some information on this? I would go to the Bill of Exchange Act. Whoa, okay. So these things are all put here, but most of us are damn near illiterate, to the point, or illiterate and or lazy, that we're not going to go figure out why everything is the way it is, right? So you go in the Bill of Exchange Act, and I'm not the most well-versed in it, but one of my biggest takeaways from it is, where in the Bill of Exchange Act does it say pay with cash? They gave you a bill of exchange. They gave you a presentment, an offer for a bill, and you are supposed to do something with it. Well, where are you supposed to figure out what to do? The Bill of Exchange Act. And where does it say pay it with your income? And like I said, I mentioned the other word, payment, right? The word payment can also be synonymous with the word perform. So to make payment on your bill is to perform. How do you perform? You properly endorse the bill. You properly endorse the check. Okay? Now, this is where some people fall off and they think it's just easy as, oh, I'm just going to return the deck to them and they're going to know what to do with it. No. Because if these bank tellers knew what they were doing, most of them wouldn't be working as much. They'd be doing the same thing, discharging their debts, and be going and living the free, abundant life to go pursue, as the Declaration of Independence, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. All right? But we are not happy right now because we spend all of our days working. What is going on around us is unlawful and unconstitutional. Now, all these people, the minions, are the inadvertent, conscious or unconscious, like, gatekeepers to this. Because you'll say, hey, I learned this UCC code. Hey, Uniform Commercial Code 1-308 states blah, 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 blah. Oh, this code says this and this. HJR 192 says, and you're going to be talking to someone that barely graduated high school, let alone college. They might be a banker, but they are a customer service representative. I worked at Target when I was 16, right? I worked in customer service. I worked everywhere, but I worked in customer service sometimes. You walk up to my 16-year-old ass and say, is it not true that your company does dealings in such and such and such and such, and then they operate under the Uniform Commercial Code jurisdiction? I'm studying for my math test on Monday. I have no idea what you're talking about, okay? That's the customer service representatives. These people are going to work to get money to pay their bills just like you, and they work in the banks. These people don't know this stuff because most people don't read. Most people sign contracts without knowing what they say. Quick sidebar, see, I'm going now. I had a conversation because I made the naive thought of saying, oh, well, they're the banks and know this. Maybe I should bounce my ideas off of them. So I call up my bank, which some of you never do until you want to argue with somebody. First of all, y'all don't know how to do business. You don't walk into a place of business and you start yelling at people. You start cussing people out. No, you have to act honorably. You need to act like you've been here before. You know what I'm saying? Come prepared, come correct, stop coming with accusations and come with facts. Okay? So I called him, I said, hey, look, man, and I'm paraphrasing the conversation, but I was like, yo, bro, listen, I'm trying to figure this out. Now, I heard some stuff. Isn't it true that by definition, the banks are the debtors and you are only extending us our credit? So why would you guys put the credit yourselves down as the creditor and we as the debtors, when the banks by definition are the original debtors, because we are secure party creditors for the United States of America, based on that bankruptcy and them collateralizing us and creating that trust in our names? That made us secure party creditors of the United States. So any credit that we apply for is our own credit. You see what I'm saying? All your bills are already paid for. So why is it that I'm paying all these bills for the stuff that we're going out for, and then the banks know this? Because then the guy I was talking to, he literally said, well, once you sign on that dotted line, that takes precedent. I'm like, wait, so in my head, and I said this, I was like, wait, so you guys know that you guys are supposed to be creditors, but you still have it on your paperwork. So you're doing paperwork that says that you're the creditor, even though the definition that you're supposed to be operating under say this. Once you sign, he didn't answer me directly, but he said, once you sign on that dotted line, I was like, so y'all know this shit. Okay. And I was like, and then I did know this because you have the right to redress due to the Sestakevai Act. You have the right to redress. So any contract that you have, you can go back and renegotiate the terms of it. You know? So I was like, so I tested that. I was like, well, it already seems like I've established you as the enemy in my head, and I don't know enough to go at you right now, but okay, cool. But I was like, wait, so we can't renegotiate, we can't get this stuff right, we can't fix this up? He was like, no, once you sign on that dotted line, it is what it is, and you have to pay it off. So he knows nothing about knows nothing, or he's purposefully gatekeeping the fact that I do have the right to redress. You can go back in and fix things on your contract. If you go in and look at your finance charge, the definition of a finance charge on especially your car loans, go look it up. It's right there. Your finance charge is supposed to be the sum of all debts owed, all of them. So why did you go out for this loan, but then you only got like a $20,000 car, $50,000 car, $100,000 car, and then it says like the finance charge was only like $2,000. No, all the money is supposed to be in that column. Not, whoa. This is what happens when you read, bro. So basically, when you endorse these checks, you have to write a whole bunch of stuff. And I'm not going to give the information. You go out there and search that up yourself because I'm still figuring that out. I'd be doing you a disservice if I told you how to do it and I haven't done it successfully yet. But I know I'm on the right track. All right. But basically, you have to like write the word money order up there. You have to put payable to such and such. You need to write down the UCC codes on the bill. Like, okay, so when you get your bill, there's like the paper part, and then there's like the little check. You don't realize that little foldable perforated part, that part you're supposed to cut off. You're supposed to cut off. Don't cut it off. I've learned. Don't cut that off. You know, that's a bill. That's a bill of exchange. And you're supposed to add payment to that. You're supposed to perform by properly endorsing it, you know, because there is no money to pay off the debt. There is no money. Your Federal Reserve notes, that's not a debt. And then the debits that they take from your accounts, that's them utilizing the credit-back system. So when you pay directly from your account, that is it's a credit on your account, but they debit it from your account. You see what I'm saying? If I'm using words that you don't understand, you got fill in the blanks. All right. But yeah, so okay, I'm going all over the place. I'm sorry. This is why I told you I'm new to this. But sometimes you have to refresh the way you're looking at these bills. The top part is a bond. The bottom part is the bill, right? But you'll notice that every bill that you have paid your own money for is a positive number. Well, why does that matter? Of course it's a positive number. Because that's the money that's been attributed to your account. And you were supposed to perform, and that's why they say you have an outstanding balance, because you haven't performed. You haven't done what they had to do within the deadline. So what you're supposed to do is like the number is debited, and you were supposed to discharge it to that account. You're supposed to discharge it for set off. So the account that you have with that company is set off to zero. But then that money is discharged, that value, that credit, whatever, is discharged to your straw man account, to your principal's account, to your straw man principal's account. What's the other one I was going for? Your Sestui account. You know, Sestui, Cestui, and then the Sestakevai, VIE Act, if you want to go that far and do your research. Okay, it's like, so this is a rough run through of the game that's been pulled on us. Now there's so many different methods out there. All right, I've seen like the 1099 A and C ways. I've seen the accepted for value and return to sender methods. Utilizing, there's a number on the back of your Social Security. Hold up. There's a back of, while I'm looking for this, there's a number on the back of your Social Security card. A lot of you don't even know where your Social Security card is. You can get a free one online. All right. I've just ordered mine last week. I'm waiting a couple weeks for it to come in. And of course, I don't have the book in here. Dang it. But nevertheless, it's like there's a number on the back of your Social Security card, which is a letter and a few numbers. It's either 5 or 9. I can't remember. All right. And then somehow, some way, you're supposed to utilize that. You're supposed to write that on the check as an exclusion number, as a something like that. There's so many different ways. There's a postal credit money orders. that you can utilize. And then you use that for, I just learned this one yesterday, so really don't take my word for that one. But basically, it's like you can do certain things where if there's a certain value, you have to have a proper amount of gold-backed postage, all right? And you put that on that bottom, that little perforated part, you put that on the bill, and then you send it in. But then you have to be able to back this up, because most people are going to be like, yo, what the hell is this? And they're going to try to reject you, right? So when you're acting honorably and you're acting in good faith and good business, hey, before you reject that, please understand that UCC code insert number here. I have to, I don't remember it off the top of my head, but UCC code blank dash 206303, whatever. It's like, it states that if you reject my remittance, or if you reject this of this payment, there's proper words there. But once you reject my payment, that is grounds for discharge. These are the rights that we have. Sometimes this be ready to make me get on my Charleston White shit and put on my red, white, and blue jackets and shit, because I'm like, yo, this is the greatest country ever. Once you get through the red tape, once you get through the bureaucracy, once you get through the lies, you realize, yo, everything's supposed to be free. You think that you need to go amass millions and millions and millions of dollars. Well, the question I've been presenting some of my friends is, would you rather be filthy rich or have everything for free? They all get you in the same place. It's just, I guess when you're rich, you can dish out money to people. Money. You can dish out cash, debt notes to other people, promissory notes, because there's also, speaking of notes and promissory notes, I was getting ahead of myself there too. Like when you look at the word notes, the notes is its own word. That's not just some little word that they put there. It's a legal definition. If you go look at the word notes, you realize a note is equivalent to a promissory note. Okay, a promissory note is a negotiable instrument. A negotiable instrument is a legal tender of payment. So this is what all these rules, all these UCC codes, they justify this. You just need to know your rights. People run around saying, I know my rights, aka the freedom of speech. There's a lot more. There's a lot more consumer rights out there that you've never touched. One last note, and you'll hear me repeat this in further videos, whether it's related or not to consumer law directly. But one of the cool things I learned is all y'all need to go out there and go get you a copy of Black's Law Dictionary. Black's Law Dictionary, the 4th edition. The 4th edition. Now you would say to me, why would I get an old book? There's 4th, 5th, 9th. I don't know how many editions there are, but they're way past the 4th edition. I almost said addiction. The 4th edition. Why would I want the 4th edition? You guys need to remember, this is a cool fact. Definitions, legal definitions, never expire. Legal definitions never expire. So what's happened is the definitions in the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th edition, they are still just as viable as the new ones. The difference is, though, it's just a video I saw yesterday. The 4th edition is like the most pure, untouched version. But then when people start getting hip to this, the powers that be start to reshape the definitions to fit them, to make it harder and harder to complete this process. But if you can quote a definition from Black's Law Dictionary, that definition from the older versions doesn't change. This is why you guys need to get into these books. This is why you need to stop being lazy, just signing up on stuff. And I made this mistake. I'm climbing out the dirt just like y'all. I'm getting it out the mud, and I don't need to go sling crack. I'm getting out the mud legally, starting from zero and rising to the top. Because one day, the end game, right? The end game is like, you do this so much that you can message the CEO, the CFO, whoever, and be like, yo, bro, just to do I forgot the proper term, but it's like, do not build, do not collect or something like that, because they know all you're going to do is discharge it. So they just automatically discharge it for you in the end game. But you got to work your way up to that. And that's what I'm working. I'm right here with you. Once again, I have not done this myself. I am working towards it. Okay, but you have to know you have to, one, know the background. You have to know the background of all of this. Then number 2 is you have to know how to properly do it. Then you need to know why you're allowed to do it, because you will get pushback. Some of y'all, I know I'm nervous myself. I'll tell you right now, I'm nervous to walk into court, because then you have to learn the legal game too. You have to fight until you get to cruising altitude. How much turbulence is there when you're on the runway? You feel the ground, and then you rise and you're pushed back in your chair. The plane's shaking a little bit, but once you hit cruising altitude, you chilling. You have to go through this phase first. This is the hazing process. This is the process that says, okay, we know everyone thinks they know how to discharge, but show us you know what you're doing. Show us you have the capacity contract. Show us that you're not an idiot. Literally, from my previous definition. Show us this. Oh, you know what you're doing? We can't mess with you? Damn, you came equipped with all the laws? Dang, you knew that little trick we was gonna pull on you? Okay. Hey, he's through. Let him through. That's how this works. It's a crazy game, bro. It's a crazy game, but this is the game I want to play. Like I said, man, I realize that there's no way you're gonna save out of this. There's no way you're gonna work out of this. Now, don't get me wrong, crypto's there too. I like to be rich and have everything for free. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? But crypto's there. But like, I got my bags packed. I'm just waiting for that to do what it does. All right. In the meantime, though, if I wanted to get that bag up, wouldn't it be nice if I didn't have to spend so much money on these bills? If I could just learn how to discharge everything. Once you discharge everything, I was almost done. But look. The other thing is, I'm trying to figure out what's actually necessary. I do need to learn more about it. But whenever you are doing any type of communications, especially if it's something important, like like with these banks, when it comes to your payments, when it comes to your the communications, you need to make sure everything is done by certified mail. You need to have a tracking number, because these people will be so quick to tell you, oh, we never received that mail, and they could do it because how can you prove that you sent it? You can't. There's nothing in the Postal Service that said that anything was ever sent from you. So how could you prove it? Certified mail, registered mail. Okay. Now I do know registered mail is for the transfer of securities. I know that when you have a registered mail, it's put in its own box. Like, that's how important this is. You literally are carrying around gold. You're carrying around securities. So they put it in a separate box and they make sure that it is delivered. The certified mail is just a lesser step of that. But fill in the blanks there for me, for people that know better. You know what I'm saying? I still have to figure out the main difference, because I'm like, yo, registered mail kind of expensive. I don't understand why I'm going to send off, it's going to cost me $50 damn to send off like $100 bill that I'm trying to get discharged. It's like I'm almost spending double to just get I don't get it, but maybe that's just my ignorance. I don't know. But I do know all that other stuff. You feel me? So it's like we learning. I'm just passing on what I know to the class. Till the next one, y'all. Good luck. Peace.